Welcome to Elder Care Illuminated, Torchlight's caregiving podcast. Elder Care Illuminated addresses the ins and outs and ups and downs of caring for your loved ones. Join us for interesting conversations with elder care specialists, geriatric care managers, attorneys, and ordinary people with extraordinary caregiving experiences.
Hello, people. Welcome to today's episode of Elder Care Illuminated, brought to you by Torchlight. I'm your host, Lenore Tracey, and today we're talking with Cathy Sikorski, elder law attorney, advocate, and humorist. Today, Cathy and I are climbing back up on the soapbox to holler to the world. Cathy, say it, please.
Social Security is not calling.
But whoever is calling is doing a very fine job of getting all kinds of people, smart, educated people, to give out personal information. Welcome, Cathy.
Oh, Lenore, thank you so much for having me on for this. This is so important. I am really happy to be here today.
I am glad to have you. Cathy, we are seeing warnings about scam calls all over the place. We see them on the internet, on the news, in magazines. We have them here on Torchlight, but somehow people are getting through. What are these callers doing that's breaking through a reasonable person's instinct to say no?
Well, the first thing they're doing is calling. And there are some people who just answer their phone no matter what, right? Second thing they're doing is they are literally changing their phone number every time they call.
So caller ID is not going to help you to screen them out?
It might not. It could say, caller ID could say unknown caller. It could say possible spam, but it could actually be the Social Security office's phone number because that's called spoofing. And they have actually learned how to make it look like the Social Security office is calling you. That's the scariest part.
That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Will Social Security ever call?
The thing is, there is one arena where Social Security might call you, but it's only if you are currently involved in a Social Security situation where you have contacted them, you have gone to see them, you are trying to set up a hearing or an appointment. In those cases, they may call you, but they will not just call you out of the blue, ever. And it won't be a random phone number. And it won't be 2 or 3 different random phone numbers. And it will almost never be a robocall. So it won't be a taped call that says, call us back. It will be a person.
And will they ask you for your Social Security number before?
No.
If it's a legitimate call.
That is right. They know your Social Security number. They will not ask you for it. And if they do ask you for it and you are concerned because you are, for some crazy reason, involved in a Social Security issue, ask them if you may please call them back. And they should give you a phone number where you can call them directly.
Even that sounds scary under these circumstances, but I think that as a rule to live by, you should always be able to initiate the call. And I know they used to say that when credit card companies were calling you, that you should never buy anything or you should never be giving out your credit card number unless you initiated the call. So
exactly. I would say that's a rule to live by. There is nothing wrong with living by that rule because honestly, if Social Security is trying to get in touch with you and you don't answer or you hang up, they will send you a letter. They don't stop at a phone call if it's really truly the Social Security office. Okay? So when in doubt, do not communicate.
And never give out your Social Security number.
Right, never.
So you and I have discussed how our own family members, who shall remain nameless, fell prey to callers who said they were Social Security. After exhausting the benefits of yelling at them in disbelief, a time-honored tradition in my family.
And mine.
What should a person do if they have given out their Social Security number to the bad guys?
Well, the first thing you should do is go to my Social Security account. And if you haven't set that up, you should do that right now. You should do that anyway. So Lenore and I are telling you, go to my Social Security account, set up your private account with your password so that you have access to your Social Security account. If you have done that and you feel like you've given out your social security number, go in there and change your password right away. That's one thing you can do. And also, you can go to any credit bureaus and just check your account. Make sure nothing has happened, nothing's crazy that you shouldn't be seeing. A lot of people do have credit monitoring, and they're happy to do that. And if you feel like that's something that you might want to do because you're very concerned, I would definitely be on board with that. You can set it up for just a few months for a few dollars if you just want to make sure nobody's using your social security number to set up bogus accounts.
When my loved one, who shall not be named, gave out his social security number, we did that. We went and we set up my social security account, and also went on to all of the credit bureaus, and we did a credit freeze. And that meant that nobody, even us,
right,
even he, could not open a new credit card, could not apply for a loan.
Right.
But you can turn that on and off yourself.
That's correct. Forgot about that. You're absolutely right.
And that doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
I wanted to also say, for people who are listening who are under the age of collecting Social Security or even thinking about Social Security, everybody should set up that My Social Security account number, even if you're younger, because it's a protection. But it also, they'll, I believe, stop sending you those reports you get every, X months or X years about where you are, what you've paid in,
right,
et cetera. And you can go check whenever you want to.
Exactly. And now, since we have to have social security numbers once you're born, babies have them. How would you ever know if somebody's opening up a social security account in your 5-year-old's name?
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Right. Which has happened.
Right. So if as a parent you wish to be watchful of that, you can go in and set up that My Social Security account for them.
Exactly. And just in case you thought that it would all be well when you were dead, that you were finally safe from the scammers, people open accounts in the name of the deceased.
Yes, they do.
In their social security numbers.
And where that's dramatic is if you're married to that dead person, right? So if your spouse has passed away and they take your spouse's social security number and it's attached to yours on your mortgage, your credit cards or whatever, that can also be a problem for you. And I'm sure we're now scaring everyone half to death, right? Because you certainly can't set up a My Social Security account for someone who's deceased. But I guess the other side of this coin is keep an eye on your credit report. You can look at it once a year for free, right? You can get the whole 9 yards. So keep an eye on that as well. It doesn't hurt. But the bottom line for today is when you get these phone calls, please know that the scammers are working very, very hard to scam you.
And they're smart.
Yes.
You can go to the credit bureaus and close the credit accounts or whatever language they will use for a person who is deceased. So it is not a bad idea to go to each of the credit bureaus, and there are 3 of them, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, and close the account of the deceased person. You may need some paperwork to do that, like the death certificate and possibly your identification if you're the executor, say, of a will. But you can close them out in the credit bureau. Should people contact the IRS also?
I mean, I'm going to say not much good comes from contacting the IRS, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think that's just a rabbit hole one does not wish to go down unless you absolutely need to. Mostly because that's kind of an issue that comes attached with other things, your taxes and whatever. But generally, scammers don't get involved in that. And quite frankly, the IRS doesn't care. So I would not worry about that as much. As if you take them as these precautions as much as you can, you're probably not going to need to go to that place. And if in fact you ever do, trust me, they will be there with you side by side to help you, because the IRS, does in fact have to deal with scammers as well.
They do. And I had a personal situation where identity theft occurred with the tax account, and they always send a letter. They don't just call you. They send a letter and ask you to call them.
That is a great note there, Lenore. Pardon the interruption, but honestly, they do not call you. They don't. So if somebody says the IRS is calling you, they're not. Hang up the phone. Yeah.
Hang up the telephone. Let's talk a little bit about prevention. So we mentioned a few things to do after something bad has happened. What can you do in advance to make it harder for someone to get your personal information?
Well, truthfully, in the elderly, for instance, like my mom, who does use a computer and a cell phone sparingly, but she is one of those wonderful people who does not put her credit cards on, the internet. So you might have some great people like that. So yay for them. Of course, the less you use it, the better off you are. But I don't think that's realistic in today's age. You can't not use credit cards to get things that you want on the internet. So I would say maybe stick to one card all of the time rather than using different cards for different things, because then you're going to know if one card is compromised. I would say this doesn't have anything to do with websites, but the bottom line is, hang up the phone. The more you don't engage with someone from them calling you, the less likely it is that you're going to be having a problem in the future, right?
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that hanging up thing. It's really hard for some people to be impolite or to hang up the phone on a caller. But hanging up really is okay, isn't it?
First, don't answer. I have made it a rule. Now, as a caregiver, I couldn't do this because I didn't know if a hospital was calling me or a doctor was calling me, and, they didn't necessarily have a caller ID that I could trust. But at this point, I'm not in that caregiving role so much. So if a phone call comes in and I don't know the number, I don't answer it. They will leave a message. I would be hard pressed to find if someone does not have an answering machine of some sort, right? I think everybody does.
Absolutely.
So if it's a number you don't recognize, don't answer the phone. Please, just don't answer the phone. If in fact you find yourself answering the phone because you just feel compelled to do so, and you start to get a robocall, this is the Social Security office, your number has been suspended. By the way, that never, ever, ever happens. They don't suspend your number. They don't do it. They don't. Hang up the phone. Hang up the phone, hang up the phone. And that is a recorded call. So you're not hanging up on anybody. And the third thing is, if you get someone who is saying, oh, the police are coming, you're in trouble, you need to, give us your social security number, whatever. If they're using scare tactics, none of these government agencies do that. They do not do that. So if you think it's impolite to hang up on them, please keep in mind that these people are unscrupulous. They're far beyond impolite. They are wanting to steal your money. They are thieves. So you don't have to be nice to a thief, right?
You do not have to be nice to a thief. They are criminals. Yeah.
And you don't want to help them commit the crime. So yes, hang up the phone. And finally, if for any chance you did hang up on somebody who was an actual government employee, trust me, you won't be the first and you won't be the last. They will contact you either again or they will contact you by mail, and they don't get, they're over it already. They don't get offended by that. So it's okay. We're only talking about these government, these fake government calls.
Sometimes when I answer the phone, and I do periodically answer it, I pick up the phone and there is this period of silence before a person starts talking. And that is a signal that this is a call center and they're using automatic dialing. So they may be dialing multiple numbers, exactly. I believe, at the same time. And then there's a pause. Somebody has picked up. That would be me or whoever is answering. But that's a tip off that it's either a scam call or it's a telemarketing call. And I don't wait. After I sense that pause, I just hang up, and I'm not hanging up on a person.
That's a great tell. Yep. That's a wonderful tip. If you answer the phone and they don't immediately talk to you, hang up, because it is either a scam or a telemarketer, and you don't need to talk to telemarketers either. You're not required to do that.
Absolutely not. I think it would be helpful to offer people some language to use. I actually did that in my family with my kids and my husband, having to do with telemarketing, because when the call comes in, even charities that we typically would donate to, I would just say, we don't respond to telephone solicitations. Thanks for calling. Click. But maybe we can give them some language. They could write it down on a piece of paper and read it to the caller, leave it next to the telephone. And then we would suggest that they would write hang up following the script in case they forget. I think that if we had some language to offer people, I'd also put it in the show notes.
I think what you just said is actually great. I don't respond to telephone solicitations. That's wonderful. Okay. I personally would put hang up first, and then I don't respond to telephone solicitations and then hang up again. Why not? Right? That's how I would do it. But the other thing is, if it is, these people, they're very good in scare tactics, especially with the elderly. And so they tell you that the police are coming. They tell you that you have to go get gift cards. We just had a gentleman in our town, it was in the newspaper, gave them $5,000 in Target gift cards because he thought he had an IRS debt. And I just want to bring that up. That's a typical thing that they tell you to do, is go to Target or CVS and get gift cards. No government agency, neither the IRS nor Social Security, nor any government agency you can think of, takes gift cards as a payment for a debt, ever. Ever, ever, ever. So if somebody's telling you to get gift cards, they are lying to you and they are trying to cheat you and steal from you. Don't do it.
And if you are taking care of an elderly person, or you have somebody in your life who is just the person who can't say no, these things need to be repeated to them. Yes, no government agencies want to be paid in gift cards.
Yes, no government agency. Put that on the list too of things that, you should know. And honestly, if you're getting threatened that the police are coming or whatever, then I think you should say, thank you. I'm going to hang up now and call the police and check with them.
Perfect. We'll put a couple of these in the show notes for people.
Do that. I think it's wonderful. But I also like the tip that you put in there, because I was happily working with a millennial caregiver group, right? These people are in their 20s and 30s and they're taking care of their parents and their grandparents. And I said to them, when I put this out there, that the Social Security scams were coming in, is, look, your parent or grandparent may be talking to people on the phone while you're at work, or while you're grocery shopping, or while you're walking the dog. And they're putting out this information because they don't understand that this is a scam. So you need to have a conversation with them, especially if it's so obvious to you, you can't believe that it's obvious to them as well.
And be careful not to make them feel like they're gullible or stupid.
Yes.
The real message is, criminals are using all of our communication systems, our sophisticated communication systems, telephones, email, texting not texting so much, but I'm waiting for that to happen.
Right.
To get something for nothing from us. And if you were born in 1930, that's not in your wheelhouse thinking that way.
And honestly, admit to them, they try to scam all of us. There isn't not a one of us at any age who hasn't almost, if not completely, fallen for the scam, even if it's just to give out information. So I am not singling you out, Grandma. I'm just telling you, this happened to me 3 times in one day, and I want you to know it can happen to you as well. So let's all be on watch together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, Cathy, will you say it again?
Social Security is not calling.
Thank you. Listeners, thank you for joining us today. Take care of yourselves, caregivers, and be careful out there. We'll see you soon on the next episode of Torchlight's Elder Care Illuminated podcast.
Thanks for listening to Elder Care Illuminated, a Torchlight caregiving podcast. Find other episodes of Elder Care Illuminated on iTunes, Spreaker, and Podcast Go. If you're interested in bringing Torchlight Elder or any of Torchlight's other caregiving products to your workplace, please contact info@torchlight.care. That's info@torchlight.care.